Welcome to our session on pivoting traditional education approaches to online project-based learning and virtual internships. My name is Dana Stevenson. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rypen. And today we have with us Laura from Capella University. Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Please, thank you. Hi, everybody. Laura Sankovic, Academic Director of Curriculum from the School of Business and Tech over at Capella University. Thanks for having me here.
Excellent. So before we jump in, we'd like to introduce both of our organizations. We'll start with Rypen, and with Rypen, we'll start with our mission. Our mission is to end underemployment globally. Now, we know that's no easy task, but we're very excited to be partnering with higher institutions like Capella University to help solve this challenge. Rypen is the world's leading online project-based learning marketplace that connects educators to companies so that students gain more real-world learning experiences throughout their education pathway. Through Rypen, students gain experience and professional connections. Employers gain fresh insights and make better data-driven hiring decisions. So now I'll pass it over to Laura to introduce Capella.
Thanks, Dana. So at Capella University, we have over 39,000 learners. We are only online. We have bachelor's through PhD programs in a variety of disciplines, from business to IT, nursing, education, counseling, psychology, and more. We have 81% of our learners are female. Most are attending online, and the average age of our learners is 38 years old. And I want to read a piece of our mission statement because I believe it's extremely important. We believe education transforms people's lives and society immediately and permanently. The innovative, intentionally designed, competency-based education we offer enables adult learners to meet challenges in their careers, lead and make new contributions in their disciplines, and reach their professional and personal goals. And that's important to us, especially as we think about employability and how essential that is to the learners we serve.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's a very, very exciting time right now in education. And all of us know that the future of work is changing rapidly. And this new era of digital disruption requires learners to demonstrate a new skill set. The shelf life of technical skills is becoming shorter and shorter. As industries continue to transform, employers are expecting learners and workers to continuously upskill and reskill to meet their needs in this rapidly evolving environment. Equally as important is the need for human skills, the transferable skills. Learners and workers need to develop and demonstrate these skills, often called the soft skills, like leadership, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, to land a great job and to continue to excel within their organizations. It's long been known that one of the best ways to learn and hone these skills is through experiential learning. Learning by doing, essentially. Learners who have the opportunity to take what they're learning and connect it to the real world by putting it into practice will have a competitive advantage in the job market. I'd like to share this study, or an excerpt from this study from Gallup. They did a study a few years ago on the way students learn. And what they found was that the top two indicators leading to workplace success really emphasizes that point. Employees who were the most successful in the workplace, one, worked on a long-term project that took several classes to complete, and two, used what they were learning to develop solutions to real-world problems in their community or in the world. So we asked ourselves at Rypen, if work-based learning is one of the best ways to set learners up for success in the workplace, why aren't we making sure that every learner has more than enough access to these types of experiences? And really, working with so many higher ed institutions, what we realize is the truth of the matter is that traditional work-based learning, like in-person internships and co-ops, well, they're a lot of work to manage. These programs are time-consuming, they're resource-intensive, and most importantly, they're very difficult for higher institutions to scale. And when it comes to lifelong learners and career transitioners, let's be honest, when you're switching careers or trying to level up for the next big promotion, you don't have time to go back to school for a couple of years and then also take time off for a full semester or even 2 semesters to do an internship. The opportunity sometimes can feel just too high for these types of learners. So Project-based learning, what we're going to talk about today, can remove a lot of these challenges. Project-based learning involves collaborating with companies to embed real-world projects into the curriculum. Students gain experience, they build their professional network, and they gain the skills required to land the right job, not just any job when they graduate. They do this while in the classroom as part of their curriculum, so it doesn't need necessarily to extend their graduation. And I think what's also really important here is because project-based learning, especially in these times, can be done online, learners can access projects from anywhere and gain experience from industries that they might not have access to in their own backyard. And because of the world is moving virtual, we are seeing many more companies very comfortable with this type of engagement. These projects are flexible, customizable, they're shorter term, so they can be adapted to meet the needs of many different types of companies while especially meeting the unique needs of all different types of learners, really no matter where they are in their learning journey.
Dana, if I can just jump in for a second, I just wanted to add exactly that, which is our experience, and what you said about learners having access or not. Our learners are adults, as I said earlier, they have an average age of 38. They're juggling work, family, life, school, and they cannot drive to a different city for the internship that may be available to them. They might live in a rural community. They might live in an urban community, and maybe their life just doesn't permit them to add yet another thing. But when we've embedded experiential learning and project-based learning into the curriculum, now it levels the playing fields. So no matter what one situation, they're going to class anyway. So now we've given them this great opportunity, and they can put that on their resume.
Yes, that's right. That's fantastic. And in your experiences that you're running at Capella, many of these projects are done in groups. Is that right as well?
Indeed, the majority of them are, and learners have to learn to work across time zones. Certainly a lot of it's asynchronous, but ultimately they have to get together and present a final project and work sometimes synchronously as well. But they have to figure that out, and this allows them that opportunity that they might not otherwise have.
Absolutely, and we think this is so important. We hear from companies all the time that they're looking for employees who have the skill set to work in groups, who have these types of group-based projects. Not only does it offer the opportunity for institutions to do it at scale, but also it offers the opportunity for students to develop the human skills that I was talking about earlier, the transferable skills like conflict resolution, critical thinking, collaboration, because you're working in a team to solve a real world problem. And we know that these skills are in such high demand by employers today. So at Rypen, we offer 3 different types of experiential learning opportunities. I think today we're going to focus more on the in-class projects, but which is our main focus. At Rypen, our main focus is the in-class project, which we like to call, it's sort of a co-learning experience between the employer and the students, and it's co-facilitated by faculty, enabling students to apply what they're learning to solve real-world problems as part of their curriculum. We also do virtual internships. Virtual internships it's unbundling and bringing the traditional internship online in a project format, allowing for much more flexibility, customizability, so that learners can complete them alongside their studies, or as we were talking about earlier, any other important life commitments. And finally, skills challenges. This is an exciting one. It really enables, we developed this type of experience to enable employers to create a small skill-specific challenge that students can complete to demonstrate their skills. There's a number of reasons why employers will use this, but one of the ones that's most exciting is that employers can use these challenges as the new first step in their recruitment process, reducing hiring biases in their recruitment process and increasing diversity and inclusion in their talent pipeline. So I think today we're going to focus a little bit more on the in-class projects. Capella's been doing a fantastic job, one of our most forward-thinking higher ed institution partners, really doing this at scale. And I'll hand it over to you, Laura, to share a little bit about our partnership and how you've been leveraging these experiences to set students up for the workplace.
Perfect. Thanks, Dana. So curriculum was already workplace relevant. So for instance, in our accounting course, in our MBA program, we don't have learners just learning accounting theory. Certainly that's important and essential, but they're not just working on spreadsheets either. We put them in the position in our curriculum as it's designed today, we put them in the position of being a district manager for an organization, for instance. And so let's say they're part of the course curriculum says that they're training a new hire and they have to bring that new hire up to speed regarding the financial health of that particular territory. That learner has to understand the concepts well enough to internalize them and then to be able to explain that to their new hire, right? There's nothing harder really than you have to know something well if you're going to teach somebody else that same concept. So that's part of the curriculum, and they must understand the practical application of the material, make recommendations to their new hire, and to be able to justify why. So the curricular model we have is pretty strong for our adult learners because we try to bridge that gap between what they're doing in the classroom and the alignment to their work. But there's nothing better than the real thing for both learners and our faculty. So that's a win. We have found that work-based learning has driven engagement. With Rypen, we can give learners an actual experience with a client partner. So instead of simulating this environment with a trainee, we can actually work with a client partner on whatever challenge, whatever project they may have for our learners to execute. The goals are real. The learners have to ask good questions at the start of a project so they know the scope and the deliverables and really the scale of what they're trying to deliver. And there's nothing better than seeing the smiling faces of client partners they've helped to bring a project to fruition when they deliver that final project at the end of the academic quarter. It's fantastic and it's so much fun. And as we mentioned earlier, it enhances equity and inclusion. Our learners are largely working adults. They are balancing work and school and life. And typically they just don't have the bandwidth to add an internship to their schedule. And again, that's assuming they even live in a place where they could travel to one. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 2020 has constrained those opportunities, but our learners are also online and they are all across the US. And so we had to think deeply and thoughtfully about how to provide opportunities for them regardless of geography. We have a strong commitment to employability for our learners, and that's why our curriculum is workplace relevant. This is just one additional and beneficial step for them and for us. So no matter where someone is located, what time zone, urban, rural, they have an opportunity to participate in work-based learning and leverage the experience in their current job, on their resume for a future job, or even gain some consulting experience they wouldn't have otherwise had.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The process can't get much easier when we're talking about working with Rypen. And I have to say, and it's not just because I'm here with Dana, but I work with a lot of vendors, our department, our school, because we have an IT program as well. We work with a lot of different vendors to deliver our curriculum. And so we have a lot of third-party partners, but Rypen is a fantastic team. They're really second to none with any vendor we work with. They're fantastic. They're kind, wonderful, and very, very qualified, and they always over deliver on their promises. So it's fantastic. But I'll be done with the commercial break for Rypen, but they have developed templates that give you a very complete course description that you can customize and post your course on their platform. So it's very easy, very efficient. If you do run into a snag or you have something that's completely unique to maybe what a template might say, if you should need a hand, they will absolutely walk you through it and help you along the way. If you run the same course quarter to quarter, semester to semester, you can just repost that same project in the future or make the little tweaks you need with dates and the number of learners or students who might be on that project. But it's very user-friendly, very intuitive, and as I said, you have a whole team of folks behind you should you need it along the way. Let's see, the overall process. So for us, like in our undergrad program, for instance, we have a project management course that precedes our capstone course. So our learners work with a client partner actually over 20 weeks, the first 10 of which is scoping that work. So for an IT project, which obviously needs to be more specific than perhaps business strategy, those project management learners work for 10 weeks and then hand that work off to our IT learners to fulfill their capstone requirements. So that's kind of how it worked for RIF. We worked with our IT learners, helped that organization, which was pretty cool and pretty innovative, and solved a really nice IT challenge for that group. And the diversity of organizations too that we find on Rypen is fantastic. And so it keeps it fresh for our faculty. Learners move on obviously from course to course, and so it would be a different experience anyway for them. But to keep it fresh with faculty is really fun, and to get them to help scope those projects really is quite a joy.
Yeah, I'd like to just touch on that for a second. We often hear from many faculty members that this has sort of even changed the way that they're teaching. And, rather than just, lecturing and running the students through the content, they're getting more involved in sort of coaching and sort of facilitating the learning experience. Is that something that you've found with your faculty members as well?
Absolutely, yeah, and they really get to be kind of a consultant and project manager, not real hands-on, because certainly we want our learners they execute the work, but just making sure everything is within scope and that the deliverables are on track for that client partner too. It's been really a joy for them.
Mm-hmm. And you talked a little bit about the diversity of experiences out there, and that's one of the things that we're quite excited about, because often with these experiences, especially in this sort of micro format, we see that as we start to work with more institutions and get a little bit more depth with an institution, often students are even able to stack multiple experiences throughout their education pathway. And it's this, we talk a lot about career clarity, being able to try out different experiences to really understand, what's the right kind of role that you want to work in post-graduation. Trying out different types of companies, trying out different types of projects, that kind of experience, learning from other groups or other colleagues within the classroom, learning about their project-based experiences helps sort of deliver that career clarity. Is that something that you've experienced in your classes as well?
It is, yeah. We're trying to embed more workplace-based learning in our courses. So we haven't done it, end to end just yet, but that's certainly something we would like to do. I would say for our learners in particular, our MBA learners, we have a lot of lane changers. So folks who might have worked in maybe not even a business related field, they know that this is the path they want. They want to work in business, or they may just be shifting a little bit into a different sector. And this might give them the opportunity to work on something that prepares them for that sector, that then they can leverage in an interview on their resume to say, hey, I've already done this kind of work in project management, for instance. So that's been a big win. And part of it too is coaching our learners on how to present these experiences either to their current employer to say, hey, I'd like a stretch assignment in this area because I've done this sort of thing. And I didn't even know maybe I was interested in it, but now I do because I had this experience. So it's been fantastic to help them focus on their goals, and also maybe discover something they thought they wanted to do that they learned from a project that maybe it's not a great fit for them, because now they know more about what it is in the real world. And there's equal value in that too. As we all know, we've worked on plenty of projects right over our careers that we're like, ooh, I'm glad I'm done with that one. And that's good experience too.
Yes, absolutely. I love the fact that it's, just equally as valuable for, learners who are looking for stretch tasks within their own organizations, or a promotion within the organization, or maybe looking to even switch lanes within their own organizations, as it is for those who are looking for employment or career transitioning to another company or another industry. We see that a lot, and we hear that a lot. It's equally as valuable, and sometimes we see students who are actually bringing their own projects in from the company that they work with, but often trying out something else and then bringing that experience back to that organization and saying, look what I was able to do, look at the skills that I developed. I really found that I really enjoy doing this. Can I do something similar within this organization? Is an extremely valuable outcome as well.
You bet.
And so obviously, I think it would be really helpful. We talked a lot about a lot of exciting benefits, but when it comes to managing these programs, there is a bit of a learning curve. We'd love to hear some tips from you on what you've learned, and maybe share with others on what they can do if they're thinking about launching these kinds of experiences at their institution.
Sure, and we're still learning too. And so for anybody out there listening and watching, if you'd like to brainstorm, please reach out, because we love ideating about this and how we can do it better and more efficiently and scale. So these are important things we're always exploring with other institutions. But some tips for us, and I would say, again, the Rypen team is fantastic. You can rely on them. And when you need help posting a project or just brainstorming about your class, your project coming up, or you need more projects in your pipeline. That has happened on the IT side of our school. We're in the School of Business and Technology. And sometimes we have, specific niche, cybersecurity. It's not that easy to find projects because of proprietary data, et cetera. But our faculty chair in that program has reached out to her account manager at Rypen, who has helped her tremendously and created a pipeline very quickly and efficiently, by the way. So just know that that's a very reliable process, and just a great bunch of folks at Rypen that will help. The second thing I wanted to mention is kind of about like double dipping and thinking big. Sometimes you'll see a project posted, it might seem really simple, and then you get to talking with that client partner and you go, gosh, this is much bigger than a semester or an academic quarter, and gosh, I don't know how we'll fit that in. That's really a perfect opportunity. We've taken advantage of those opportunities to say, okay, for 10 weeks, we can scope your project and do this piece. And then for the subsequent quarter, we'll do the second half of your project. And it can go on and on. But the point is, you don't then have to vet 2 vendors. You double dip and you get 2 projects for the price of 1 vendor, which is fantastic, because in the subsequent quarter or semester, you already know how each other works. They know what to expect as far as cadence, quality of work, the timing of everything, how you like to communicate, how they prefer to communicate as well. And it's just less work for everyone. So don't get tripped up. I did get tripped up early on in the process thinking, gosh, that's a year's worth of work. Well, we have one client partner we've been working with since July 2019, and the work goes on, and it's been the best relationship we could have imagined. So don't be scared of hearing about projects that seem really big.
I think that's a really important point. I mean, we often see companies come in with these large, like you said, very robust projects, and what we're able to do, or work with the institutions to do, is unbundle them into multiple projects. And sometimes that would be multiple projects over time, where one group of students, as you mentioned, sort of as they complete the project, take it to a certain level, and the next group of projects and next group of students who come on will take it from there and continue to build off of it. But also sometimes these projects can be divided up, and some portion of the project might be done in a course that's focusing on strategy. Another part of the project might be focused on the technology side. Another part of the project might be focused on market research. And these can all add up and build together over time. It's super exciting. It's a really good point.
Yeah, and yours is as well, Dana, because that's something we haven't quite yet cracked the code on, working across disciplines. We work from course to course, but I would love to see us working from our project management learners on the IT side, then bringing that over to the MBA side to roll out a business strategy initiative for the same client partner in the subsequent quarter. So we're thinking about it. We're just not quite there yet. So yeah, that's a great idea. And that's how business runs, right? I mean, you get something from another department. Hopefully the project is well scoped. You understand what the initiatives are. It's been well communicated, and you do your piece and have a final deliverable. So
absolutely. Yeah, about being able to sort of articulate that kind of experience to your current employer or a new employer. It's very powerful.
Absolutely. And so I would say the last thing for us in managing experiential learning online is the value proposition. That's not a difficult thing. everybody understands the value of it, but it's no surprise to anyone on this call that it takes extra hours from you, your faculty chairs, your program directors, and faculty themselves, but it's worth it. We know it's worth it. Faculty understand the process and the value, and it's easy to get faculty's commitment on this once they understand how it works with your curriculum. You know, depending on your pay model, whether you're using part-time or full-time faculty, you may have to consider how to compensate faculty for additional time spent onboarding projects, for instance, or managing additional time with learners. But I would say for those universities committed to increasing the employability of their learners and students in the marketplace, it's a huge differentiator. Every one of our faculty members tells us how much more engaged their learners are in the process through these experiential learning opportunities. And so it's just such a win. And once they know what it is and how to manage it, they are always on board. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And one of the roles that we've been seeing pop up in many higher institutions is experiential learning coordinator or work-based learning coordinator. Is this a role that Capella has, or is this a role that Capella has been considering?
We haven't yet, Dana. We've actually talked with some other universities that you guys have connected us with that have a more robust kind of program manager in this way. And that's certainly something we would like to see to help us scale this initiative, because with employability being top of mind for all of us, it's really essential to have somebody coordinating these efforts. But for right now, we're just trying to scale within specific programs and make sure we embed these opportunities in our curriculum. So that's where we are today, but you bet it is certainly the vision for future state.
I think that's a really important point, because, you know, often with these experiences, because it is sometimes new, and you don't have to start huge. We often have many higher institutions who start, and I believe Capella did too, start with just one course or two courses. And you use that to, you know, learn how this will work at, you know, every institution is very unique and different. And we learn how that works with your institution. We learn how to work together. And then you take those sort of case studies and you build off of them and you share that internally. And then it just grows and scales from there. And I think that's really important. It doesn't have to be across the entire institution right from day one, but that's sort of the long-term goal, so that you can get those stackable experiences over time.
Indeed. And again, back to the interdisciplinary piece, you know, we have analytics, we have nursing, we have business. I mean, we do have a vision, a framework in our heads for how this works, because that's exactly how a healthcare provider would work. And so we just need to keep ideating and iterating on how functionally this will work, and then find the right client partner to make it happen. It'll come. We just need to be patient.
Absolutely. And it's actually probably a good time to offer, you know, us as to the group here. I mean, this is something I love that you said, that ideating and innovating. This space has been, you know, we've been involved in the space for many years now, and we're so excited about how much innovation is happening. You know, it's really our partners like you who push us to think of even new ways of using our platform, and we're constantly developing new features and, you know, thinking about new, you know, different types of experiences. The interdisciplinary is fantastic. We're starting to see some fantastic examples of that. And I just picked up on something you mentioned earlier, introducing to other institutions within the community. One of the things that Rypen decided to do right from the get-go was create an open, shared, collaborative ecosystem. So you can actually go on ripen.com and, you know, click on the Explore tab, and it'll actually bring you in without even having to log in. And you can see a lot of the projects that are already available in the ecosystem. You can see examples of what other institutions are posting to collaborate. And that's sort of the environment that we wanted to create. We wanted to be able to connect each people who are interested in experiential learning, whether they came from the employer side or the education side, connecting everyone, sharing examples of what's working, sharing best practices, so that we can all continue to learn and continue to build off of each other. it's great to hear that you're taking advantage of that. We're always happy to make connections. Everyone in the community is always very interested in connecting with each other and learning from each other. And I'd just like to throw out there as well, if anyone is really interested in learning more or talking about the future of work or talking about work-based learning, always up for a conversation. So we've got our contact information here. I'm sure Laura is in the same boat and would be happy to share her experience. Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone. And so we'll wrap it up there. And if anyone has, again, any questions or would like to check in with us and connect with us on another.
Indeed. And thanks, Dana and Rypen team, for having me here. And this has been a great opportunity and really fun for me to step back and think of where we've been and where we're heading next. So appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure and super excited about the future in our partnership.